Upwards of 100,000 layoffs have hit the tech industry over the last several weeks alone. Amazon, Microsoft, Intel, all cutting tens of thousands of employees. And yet the market is still at all-time highs. So let's go inside the real reason behind the cuts that no one is talking about. And no, it's not AI. I'm Josh, software exec with almost 2 decades of experience designing, building, and running software companies. And on this channel, we go inside the secrets of the software industry. So what's actually happening in tech right now? Over the last few weeks, tens of thousands of people, mostly mid-level engineers, project managers, and middle managers have been laid off. Whole departments have been wiped out. And it's tempting to just, point at AI and say, yep, that's them right there. That's your guy, right? And, maybe there's some truth to that. There are definitely executives testing whether ChatGPT or automation tools can replace the portions of the workforce that they're laying off. But it's not the core reason. What's really happening is that these layoffs are the culmination of years-long cycle of financial pressure that's been building up since around 2018. So let me back up for a minute and rewind. So back in the day, being stable as a company was good. If you had consistent revenue, you supported your employees, and you made a reliable profit and everyone was happy, and that was great, right? But that wasn't enough for investors. Wall Street wants growth, not stability, acceleration. So companies started pushing not for stable profits, but for increasing profits, right? And then that also stopped being enough because in the modern markets, you're not just expected to grow, you're expected to grow faster and faster every year. So it's no longer about just that velocity, it's about acceleration, right? If you made 100K in new business this year, next year it has to be 200, and then 400, and then 800. And if that line starts to flatten or even slightly dip off, then investors panic and your stock price tanks. And that's just, that's the reality of the market that we're in. But at the same time, the market doesn't actually have enough demand to sustain that exponential growth across every industry, right? There's just not enough customers. They don't exist. There aren't that many dollars circulating, right? And even if you capture more users and more users, you're still going to hit a ceiling where growth starts to slow down. But investors don't care about ceilings and they do care about slowing things down, right? They need to see that growth. So the executives, they start looking for new ways to optimize, right? Whether it's cutting costs, automating work, restructuring departments, outsourcing engineering or support to cheaper regions of the world, right? Most recently, replacing entire roles with AI tools. Since around 2018, this growth pressure has continued to pile up, right? Even a cursory glance will show you things like food prices are up, inflation's high, cost of living is through the roof, right? Small business bankruptcies, they're up too. And yet the stock market keeps hitting record highs, right? So obviously, you can just look at that and see there's a disconnect there. It doesn't make sense. And so that's why executives are under pressure to show profit margins, right? And the fastest way to bump up that profit margin in a bad quarter is layoffs. And every time a company announces, 10,000 jobs cut to streamline operations, their stock jumps, right? So they're getting that feedback loop. But internally, right, the teams, they're losing their institutional knowledge, right? Product development's going to slow down. And the company needs to kind of quietly bet that some kind of automation or AI can fill that gap sooner or later, right? So now let's talk about that AI part of it because it is part of the story, even if it's not the full reason. So as we get into all these cuts, you're going to see that executives, they're really going to start using AI as both kind of a justification for it, but also as a safety net, right? If the job cuts go well, right? If everything goes smoothly, then it's going to be, AI has revolutionized our business, full steam ahead. This is great. This is the best thing ever. If they cut jobs and things go badly, then it's going to be, AI was a bust. We were sold on tech that wasn't there yet. It just didn't live up to expectations, right? Either way, leadership has an exit ramp, and that's what they want, right? And look, many of these CEOs, they know that they're gambling on this, right? If AI truly replaces thousands of workers and manages to maintain that output, they will be hailed as visionaries, right? They know that. But if it doesn't, they also know that they can resign and walk away with that golden parachute still. That AI boom, that gives them insanely convenient cover to keep doing what they've already been doing for years, which is to slash costs without admitting that the company's growth model is still broken. PR is going to say we've removed redundancies and streamlined our structure, or, this was a move to align our corporate culture, right? Blah, blah, blah. It's what they need to say, or more specifically, It's avoiding the things that they can't say, right? And the news headlines, they're going to latch on to AI or whatever the newest buzzword is taking over the workforce. But the driving factor, it's not either of those things. It's a hole that's been dug deeper and deeper for years, right? The truth is, the tech industry has been living on borrowed optimism for a long time. And eventually, you got to pay the piper, right? Although execs are still hoping that maybe, just maybe, AI will be that golden bullet. So if you found that helpful or interesting, don't forget to like the video. I really hope the layoffs haven't affected you or anyone you know, but it is a rough market out there, so stay safe. If you'd like to see more videos on the software and tech industry, follow along with the channel. There will be more coming soon.